Vault-Tec started the Great War. For decades, this was dismissed as a fringe conspiracy theory within the Fallout community. The games always implied that China launched the first nuclear strike on October 23, 2077, retaliating against American aggression in the Sino-American War. Series creator Tim Kaine himself confirmed that China dropped the first bomb. Case closed, right? But then the Fallout television series changed everything. In the show's first season finale, we watch a pre-war meeting at Vault-Tec's corporate headquarters, attended by figures from Robco Industries, West-Tec, Repcon Aerospace, Big MT, and even Robert House himself, the future ruler of New Vegas. The executives are discussing a problem. Peace talks between the United States and China are progressing. If peace happens, nobody needs vaults anymore. Vault-Tec's trillion-dollar investment becomes worthless overnight. And then, Barb Howard, a senior Vault-Tec executive, floats an idea that sent shockwaves through the fanbase. She suggests that Vault-Tec should guarantee the nuclear war happens themselves. Just drop the bombs and wipe the slate clean. The scene doesn't explicitly show Vault-Tec launching the missiles, but it confirms that the company was, at minimum, willing to murder billions of people to protect their investment, and that they had the means and motive to do it. What makes this theory so compelling is that Vault-Tec was clearly caught off guard by the actual timing of the bombs. Barb Howard's own daughter was at a birthday party outside any vault when Los Angeles was destroyed. If Vault-Tec had actually launched first, wouldn't they have made sure their own people were safe? This has led to a refined version of the theory. Vault-Tec intended to start the war, but got beaten to the punch by China, who struck first anyway. Either way, what we now know for certain is that Vault-Tec wasn't just preparing for the apocalypse, they were actively planning to cause it. The mysterious stranger is being hunted by Nick Valentine, and his true identity remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the entire franchise. This enigmatic figure appears throughout the Fallout series, showing up during combat to help the player with his signature .44 Magnum, before vanishing into thin air. He's helped the Vault Dweller, the Chosen One, the Lone Wanderer, the Courier, the Sole Survivor, and the residents of Vault 76. That's over 200 years of documented appearances. In Fallout 4, the synth detective Nick Valentine has built up an entire case file investigating the stranger, and if you have the mysterious stranger perk equipped, Nick will comment every time the figure appears. He expresses frustration when the stranger vanishes, desperately trying to piece together who this person actually is. One popular theory suggests the mysterious stranger is actually an escaped Institute synth, possibly designated S943. According to Institute terminals, they decided not to search for S943 because it was too dangerous, which raises the question, what kind of synth would the Institute consider too dangerous to pursue? A synth with the ability to appear anywhere, kill with a single shot, and vanish without a trace certainly fits that description. Another theory proposes that the stranger is connected to the Order of Mysteries from Fallout 76, a pre-war vigilante organization. The timing works, as the stranger appears in Appalachia just 25 years after the war, when Order members or their descendants could still be active. But here's what really keeps fans theorizing. The stranger has appeared to multiple protagonists across different decades and locations, suggesting either supernatural abilities, advanced technology, or perhaps multiple individuals wearing identical clothing and carrying out the same mission. The mysterious stranger's identity may never be revealed, and honestly, that might be the point. Deathclaws were deployed in combat before the Great War, which was confirmed by the Fallout television series in Season 2. For years, fans debated exactly when these horrifying creatures first appeared. We knew they were genetically engineered by the United States government, using Jackson's chameleons as a base, designed to replace human soldiers in dangerous search and destroy missions. But whether they were actually used in battle before the bombs fell was unclear. In the show's fourth episode, we see a flashback to the Sino-American War in Alaska, where Cooper Howard, the future ghoul, encounters a Deathclaw on the battlefield. The creature tears through Chinese soldiers like tissue paper before turning its attention to Howard. But instead of attacking him, the Deathclaw simply stares and walks away. This has sparked intense speculation. Was the Deathclaw trained to recognize American power armor? Did it sense that Howard wasn't a threat? Some fans have even suggested the creature spoke, though this remains hotly debated. What we do know is that after the war, Deathclaws escaped into the wild, and their population exploded. The Enclave later experimented on them using the forced evolutionary virus, creating intelligent Deathclaws capable of speech and independent thought. In Fallout 2, a pack of these intelligent Deathclaws occupied Vault 13 and formed their own peaceful society, complete with a leader named Gruthar. The Enclave eventually massacred them all, but 2 survivors escaped and may have eventually migrated toward New Vegas, where the Ghoul and Lucy encounter Deathclaws in Season 2 of the show. The theory that Deathclaws have always been more intelligent than they appear, potentially retaining some of that original Enclave enhancement, would explain why the creature spared Cooper Howard all those years ago. The sole survivor might be a synth. This theory has been floating around since Fallout 4's release, and the game itself seems to deliberately tease it. In the Far Harbor DLC, when meeting Dima, an early prototype synth like Nick Valentine, Dima asks the sole survivor if they're certain they're human. The player is given dialogue options that include expressing genuine uncertainty about their own identity, with one response stating they don't remember anything before waking up in the vault. This is strange because the entire opening sequence of the game establishes the sole survivor's pre-war life, their spouse, their infant son Sean, their military service or law degree, the frantic rush to Vault 111. The player experiences all of this firsthand. Why would the game include a dialogue option suggesting amnesia, unless it's hinting at something deeper? The theory goes like this. The real sole survivor died at some point, either during the initial cryogenic freezing or sometime after. The Institute, which we know has the technology to create perfect human replicas, complete with implanted memories, created a synth copy. The synth believes they're the original, just like every other replacement synth the Institute has deployed throughout the Commonwealth. Father, who is actually the adult Sean and the leader of the Institute, may have created the synth sole survivor specifically to manipulate events in the Commonwealth. This would explain why the Institute never simply eliminates the sole survivor despite having countless opportunities. Bethesda has never confirmed or denied this theory, which means it remains tantalizingly possible. Harold crossed the entire country, and the theory that his tree bob could eventually restore life to the entire wasteland has profound implications. Harold is one of the most unique characters in the Fallout universe, appearing in more games than any other character. Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, and Fallout 3. He began as a caravan master in the hub on the West Coast, then traveled to Gecko in Northern California, and somehow ended up in the capital wasteland on the opposite side of the continent. How did he make that journey? The games never explain. But Harold's condition offers a clue. After exposure to the forced evolutionary virus at the Mariposa military base, Harold became a unique hybrid mutant. A tree he named Bob, sometimes called Herbert, began growing from his head. Over the decades, Bob grew larger and larger until Harold was eventually consumed by the tree entirely, his organs spreading through its root system, rooting him permanently to the ground in a location called Oasis. Here's where the theory gets interesting. Bob produces seeds that spread outward, creating new plant life. The once barren capital wasteland has genuine green trees and grass surrounding Harold's location. If the lone wanderer chooses to accelerate Bob's growth, the ending slide suggests that within a few decades, Harold's seeds could blanket the entire wasteland in greenery, restoring the ecosystem. And Harold claims he can see through every leaf on every tree that descended from Bob. The theory is that Harold's unique FEV mutation has created a genuine path to ecological restoration, and that if his seeds spread far enough, the wasteland might eventually become livable again. Robert House knew the bombs were coming with almost supernatural precision, and the theory that he had inside knowledge has gained traction after the television series revealed Vault-Tec's pre-war machinations. House told the Courier that 77 nuclear warheads were launched at Las Vegas and the surrounding area on the day of the Great War. His networked mainframes disarmed 59 of them mid-flight. His laser cannons destroyed another 9. Only 9 got through, and none hit the city directly. That level of preparation doesn't come from paranoid speculation. House knew exactly what was coming, down to the number of warheads. In the Fallout television series, we see Robert House attending the same Vault-Tec meeting where Barb Howard floated the idea of starting the nuclear war deliberately. House was in the room when corporate America discussed murdering billions of people. He heard everything. But House told the Courier something else. He thought he had plenty of time to prepare and was 20 hours short. This suggests that whoever actually launched the first missiles did so earlier than House expected. If Vault-Tec was behind the war, did they move up their timeline without telling House? Or did China strike first, catching everyone off guard? Either way, House knew the war was coming, participated in the planning meetings, and built his defenses accordingly. The only miscalculation was the exact timing. The Enclave planned to leave Earth entirely, This theory comes from scattered references throughout the games and design documents, and if true, it reframes everything we understand about the Shadow Government's motivations. According to the Fallout Bible and various developer statements, the Enclave's ultimate goal wasn't just to survive the nuclear war or even to reclaim America. They wanted to use the Vault experiments to gather data for building a multi-generational starship that would carry them to another world entirely. Think about it. The Vaults were never really about saving people. They were social experiments designed to study human behavior under extreme conditions. Vault-Tec tested everything from radiation exposure to psychological manipulation to cloning to virtual reality imprisonment. Each experiment generated data that could theoretically be used to understand how humans would survive generations-long journeys through space in enclosed environments. The Enclave had access to all of this data through their monitoring of the Vault network. They also had access to pre-war orbital facilities through installations like the Kovac Muldoon platform and various other space-based assets. President Richardson in Fallout 2 mentions the Enclave's contingency plans extending far beyond the continental United States. If this theory is true, the Enclave viewed everyone else on Earth as expendable test subjects whose only purpose was generating data for an escape plan that would leave the planet behind entirely. Aliens may have influenced the Great War. The Mothership Zeta DLC for Fallout 3 introduced a disturbing possibility: extraterrestrial involvement in human affairs stretching back centuries. Aboard the alien mothership, the lone wanderer discovers captives from various time periods, including a pre-war military officer. In one audio log, this officer is heard being interrogated by aliens about American nuclear launch codes and ICBM locations. The log cuts off before we learn whether he revealed the information. This has led to one of the most controversial theories in the Fallout community. The aliens may have triggered the Great War by somehow manipulating or intercepting nuclear launch protocols. The theory gains additional support from the fact that alien ships continue to be shot down over the wasteland even 200 years later, as seen in Fallout 4 when the sole survivor can witness a UFO crash. If aliens have maintained a presence on Earth for this long, what exactly are they monitoring? The theory remains divisive because many fans feel alien involvement cheapens the human tragedy at the core of Fallout's narrative. But the evidence aboard Mothership Zeta suggests that, at minimum, the aliens were gathering intelligence about humanity's nuclear capabilities. Nick Valentine contains the memories of a real person, and the theory that those memories could unlock secrets about pre-war organized crime has already been partially confirmed. The original Nick Valentine was a police detective from Chicago who transferred to Boston to take down crime boss Eddie Winter. When his fiancée was murdered by Winter's organization, Nick became obsessed with bringing the gangster to justice. But Nick never got his chance. The bombs fell, and the detective died. Decades later, the Institute used brain scans of the original Nick to create a prototype synth, testing whether human memories could be successfully transferred to artificial beings. The experiment worked better than expected. The synth Nick woke up with the original's complete memories and personality, believing himself to be the real detective until confronted with the truth of his synthetic nature. In the Far Harbor DLC, Nick meets Dima, another prototype synth who is essentially his brother. Dima reveals that both of them escaped the Institute together, but Nick's memories of that escape have been erased or suppressed. The theory that Nick's mind contains additional suppressed memories, potentially including information about Institute secrets or even pre-war government activities, remains unexplored territory. The war between the NCR and Caesar's Legion has already been resolved off-screen, and the Fallout television series strongly implies that New Vegas fell to neither faction. When the Ghoul and Lucy arrive in New Vegas in Season 2, the city is abandoned. The casinos are dark, the streets are empty, except for Deathclaws who have taken over the Strip. Something catastrophic happened in the roughly 15 years between Fallout New Vegas and the television series timeline. The end credits of one episode tease footage of warfare in the region, suggesting a conflict that may have devastated all parties involved. The theory is that the three-way struggle between the NCR, the Legion, and Mr. House resulted in mutual destruction. The NCR was already weakened by the nuclear destruction of Shady Sands. Caesar was dying from a brain tumor with no clear successor, and House, despite his technological advantages, may have finally miscalculated. What emerged from that chaos appears to be a wasteland where Deathclaws are the dominant power, and whatever faction survived have retreated elsewhere. The full story will likely be revealed as the television series continues. These theories represent just a fraction of the mysteries buried within the Fallout universe. Some have been confirmed by new content, others remain tantalizing possibilities. And that's what makes Fallout so endlessly fascinating. Even after decades of games and now a television series, there are still secrets waiting to be uncovered beneath the radioactive soil. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so we can hang out again in the next one.